in Pavlodar, Kazakhstan. And I'm just waiting for my taxi to get here, so here we go. I'm here in the Moscow airport in Russia, getting ready to board my flight to Berlin. Now, I've always wanted to go to Berlin because it is in the state of Brandenburg, and my last name is Brandenburg. So all my life, I've heard about this place that I'm named after. People have always asked me, oh, is it Brandenburg like the concerto? Is it Brandenburg like the gates? Is it Brandenburg like the state? And yes, it is, but I know nothing about it. I am an American woman. I grew up in Idaho, so it'll be my first time going to Brandenburg. I'm staying here at the Amstelhaus Hostel in Berlin. It's in this historic area with beautiful cobblestone streets, beautiful architecture buildings. There's these little patios with flowers on them. People are riding around on bicycles. Everybody I talk to has been saying, oh, your name is Brandenburg? And I just say yes, and that is why I'm here. And I'm going to the Brandenburg Gate today. For me, exploring a new city by bike is the best way to go because you get to really see all the details, and it also lends the freedom to be able to stop anytime I see something that's interesting to me. When my family namesake lived here in Berlin, he must have come to this river. What would it have been like to walk along this river in 1780? Matthias Brandenburg lived here in Berlin. However, in 1786, he was on the streets of Berlin, and there was a procession in honor of some Catholic dignitaries who were passing through Berlin. And as a Protestant, he refused to take off his hat. And not only that, he was also very outspoken against the Catholic Church. This brought him into direct conflict with the ruling parties. So Matthias Brandenburg and his brothers fled from Berlin to Holland, where they then sailed to the United States in search of religious freedom and the American dream. I'm here at the Bellevue Palace, the Schloss Bellevue. It was originally a summer house for the younger brother of King Frederick II of Prussia. So that's an interesting link to the family history, myth or legend. Today it's the home of the President of Germany. Now I'm riding my bike through this beautiful park here. I'm headed to the Victory Tower, which you can kind of see through the trees right there. This was built in 1864 to commemorate the Prussian victory in the Prussian-Danish War, and it's really beautiful. There's a golden statue at the top and columns all around it, and then what I really like is that there's a bicycle path going all the way around it in a loop, which you can ride around, and it's really well marked and designated. It feels really safe. Next stop is Brandenburg Gate, the place I've always wanted to go for my whole life. I'm so excited. So I finally arrived here. I'm at the Brandenburg Gate, and I'm really excited. The feeling around here is just kind of surreal to me because I've been thinking about coming here ever since I found out it existed. The Brandenburg Gate was built in the 18th century by the Prussian king Frederick William II after the Batavian Revolution, and this was actually the boundary of the old city of Berlin, and it was the start of the road to the town of Brandenburg an der Havel, which is going to be on my tour of Brandenburg locations. Was ist das?
Was das ist? Das ist eine Drehorgel.
I heard this incredible music being played, and I decided to use my rusty German to ask the musician a few questions. And kindly enough, another tourist offered to translate for me. So he showed me his instrument, which is called a barrel organ, and he even opened it up to show me how it works on the inside. The music is inscribed on wooden barrels, and when you turn the crank, it switches different levers which create the music. This particular barrel organ is a historic barrel organ which is about 90 years old. Here he explains how he acquired this barrel organ.
He got it years ago from an acquaintance, someone he knew. It was mainly because he liked the man, and he always liked the music he made with it. And he had to pay a little bit extra for it. And since then he was walking through the streets, but that is not allowed anymore. And since then he's standing on this place. Years ago, Berlin was the capital city for this type of organs. There were quite a lot of them in this city. It is a German tradition.
I was about to leave, and then I looked over here, and what did I see? The United States Embassy. It just seems kind of ironic to me that the United States Embassy, the country where I live, would be right here next to the Brandenburg Gate. So I'm about to go into the Brandenburger Tor Museum. I'm really excited to go to one more Brandenburg-related location. I wasn't really able to take any video inside of the Brandenburg Gate Museum, but they did give me this really cool book, which has a lot of pictures of the Brandenburg Gate and its history. And they were telling me that Brandenburg really isn't a common family name here in Germany, and that they haven't actually met anybody before with a family name of Brandenburg, which is really interesting to me because, you know, Matthias Brandenburg, when he moved to the United States, he had like 14 children or something like that, and then they all had a lot of children. So I have met quite a few people in the United States with the last name Brandenburg. I'm currently standing in the middle of the Berlin Holocaust Memorial. It really is sobering to just see the enormity of all of these pillars through here that represent all of the dead. I'm standing here at the Topography of Terrors. On the lower level, you can see that there's a foundation of what used to be an arts and crafts school, but the Gestapo turned it into their headquarters during the Nazi era. And actually, the fragments that you see down there were part of their in-house prisons. Behind the foundation of the Gestapo headquarters, you can see a remaining portion of the Berlin Wall. The feeling here, going down into the basement of the SS headquarters, just kind of literally made me feel physically sick. There's just such a dark feeling lingering in the air down there from all of the terrible things that happened there. Topography of Terrors is really an accurate name for this place. Over to this currywurst place across the street. I've heard that currywurst is kind of the typical Berlin food. Hi, can I get a vegan currywurst?
Yes. 3, please.
Dankeschön. So I have my currywurst here. I'm really excited to give it a try. Very delicious vegan sausage topped with a ketchup-based sauce and curry powder sprinkled on top. It's really good. I actually really like it a lot. One perk of biking Berlin with a tripod sticking out of your backpack is that it starts conversations with other artists. And so this led to a chance encounter over coffee with DJ Tomek, who invited me to an exposition at the Berlin Media Design School where he was playing a show that night. I left that night feeling inspired and filled with creative energy. So the next day I took off on my bike again, but this time in search of art and architecture. It's day 3 of my journey and I woke up bright and early. I'm riding my bike again. I ran across this magnificent building here, which is Humboldt University of Berlin. What if I had grown up here in Berlin? Maybe I would have been a student here. It's an incredible university. They have had 55 Nobel scholars. I don't even need a map to tell me. I just can see from the architecture here that I am now in the former Soviet part of the city. Soviet, European, Soviet, European. It's incredible. You can just see the divide right there. It's amazing. I love this architecture. This is the East Side Gallery here. This is one of the most famous art installations in Berlin. It is a intact remnant of the Berlin Wall. Here on this side, you see all kinds of street art, graffiti. I'm gonna go check some more of it out. I absolutely love this mural here with the zipper. It just shows the opening of the wall in a very metaphorical kind of way. The spot is pretty incredible right here. Right now, I've got 1 foot on the east side and 1 foot on the west side. And that's something that you definitely could not do in the year 1989 before this wall fell. When the wall fell, a whole bunch of people poured through, all these refugees coming through from the east side. And it's really represented in the artwork here. So I came here to take a picture of this mural, but I just want you to see how many people also came here to take a picture of this mural. It depicts the East German Soviet leader giving the West German leader a very passionate kiss. I love the art, I love the vibe here, but now it's time to head off to Checkpoint Charlie. During the Cold War era, Checkpoint Charlie represented the boundary between Soviet East and Allied West. It was here that the two forces collided and many refugees tried to escape from East Germany. This guardhouse replica stands right in the middle of what is now Friedrichstraße and is a magnet for tourists who want to take pictures with reenactment actors. You can actually buy pieces of the Berlin Wall for €9.95 for 25 grams. Good morning. I'm still in Berlin. I woke up early this morning. I'm gonna head over to a Protestant church. It's actually an English-speaking church, so that's gonna be nice to go to a church where I can talk to people. But also checking out this church is part of the journey because Matthias Brandenburg left Germany because he wasn't able to practice his religion the way that he wanted to. And now, today, there is religious freedom. And now I'm back here in Germany to experience his legacy and the legacy of all the people who worked so hard to gain that freedom. I'm in Leipziger Platz, and I'm a bit early for church, actually quite a lot early, an hour early, and I just happened to get off of the underground right by the Deutsches Spionage Museum, the German spy museum. So I'm gonna go take a peek. This is a spy device where they put a radio into the shoes of a diplomat. I wonder if this is why we had to take our shoes off in the airport. Well, the Spy Museum was really interesting. I learned a lot. I think my favorite part was getting to dress up like a spy. And I also really liked seeing the way that they hid things in umbrellas and shoes. And a lot of my family members worked in the telephone industry, and my grandfather was a teletype worker in World War II. So I found it really interesting to see the types of machines that they used to pass hidden messages along during World War II and codices that they used to send hidden messages. It's in this Cinemax. So it should be an interesting service. I've never been to a church that's actually inside of a theater. I'm ready to check it out. Church was really cool. There was a huge band singing and performing, and they had brought in a speaker. My next destination is to head back, grab my suitcase, and get set off on my journey the rest of the way to Brandenburg an der Havel. Staying in this cute little house in the historic area of Brandenburg, right by the river. There's a great view from the window, and it looks like I can walk just about anywhere. I'm gonna go out and find dinner, although I think that now that I'm outside of Berlin, it seems like not as many people speak English here. So I am going to use Google Translate and see what happens. If all else fails, the method of choosing on the menu always works out. You always end up with something on your plate. So I'm gonna show you around with this place, and then I'm gonna take off. Decorations are just so cute here. This cute little table, and the view out the window just goes straight onto the street. I don't think I'm gonna be keeping these blinds open very much, but for now, it's nice. And there are two beds. One is firm and one is soft. Beautiful decoration. So this is actually Airbnb, and it's a pretty big house. I am the only one staying here. There's some other rooms which are locked, but I get this whole place to myself. What I'm really quite excited about is this huge bathtub. I'm also really excited about the view out this window. Look at this totally adorable playground. All of the pieces of playground equipment are sculptures. And look around. It's by this beautiful river right across the place where I'm staying. It's really hard to believe that this place was like 75% destroyed by bombings in World War II. They put so much work into reconstructing this city. Here's the thing that I just ordered, which I couldn't understand the menu. I'm really gonna be excited to try this out. It looks like there's some mushrooms on there and a patty of some sort, maybe potatoes. This morning I'm here at the Memorial Center of the Euthanasia Institute of Brandenburg an der Havel, which was a Nazi death camp where a lot of people were murdered by gas. This girl, she was only 17. Over here you have the actual remnants of the original building. It's called the Place of Remembrance Prison Barn. What you've got over here is the foundation of the old building that was destroyed. So now I've come across another historic church. This one is called Saint Nikolai. It was begun in year 1174. It was hit by a bomb in World War II, and it's been rebuilt since then, but still it was one of the first brick churches. It's still used as a Catholic church today. I'm gonna see if it's open. Nope, it's closed. But look at that door handle. I'd have to say that my favorite part about this historical church here is the courtyard in front of it. It's got all these old trees that are growing green lichen, and they have these incredible knobs on them. And the way this courtyard is laid out, you can just tell that it was built before there were cars, because the paths leading up to the front door are walking paths. Kind of feels like stepping into the past. Now I'm just gonna keep on walking and see what else I come across. I found the grocery store. It's called Ruhe. I find it interesting to walk through grocery stores in each country I visit. In reality, it's the same basic idea of shopping, but the beauty lies in the details. The variety of products, turning over the packages to find out where they were made, tasting new breads and cheeses. I also love grocery shopping because it's an opportunity to interact with people in an everyday setting and really get the taste for what life is like. After lunch, I continue the adventure by wandering to more ancient churches. So I'm standing in the plaza outside of St. Catherine's Church here in Brandenburg an der Havel, and it built in 1401, and it has Gothic architecture. It's really detailed the way that it's designed. Around each of the ledges there's this beautiful geometrical pattern, and then on each pillar they have lots of small statues of saints. And another really cool little plaza. Look at all these beautiful houses around here. I think one of my favorite parts about Germany is the colors that people use to paint their houses and the colors of people's clothing. There's just all these pastels and bright color, and the details are just everywhere. So I'm at the St. Peter and Paul Church here in Brandenburg, and I just saw this plaque by the entryway. It says 1914 through 1919, and the last name on this list is R. Newman. And that's really interesting because my grandma Vani's last maiden name was Newman. So I wasn't really expecting to find namesake history of both sides of my father's family line. My grandma Vani, her mother was German, and in fact, the more that I hear German spoken and see German written on menus, the more I realize that Grandma Vani actually said some words in German. Some of the words that she said that I just thought were like idiosyncrasies, like Milch. That's German. And there's a few other words like Wasser that she says, that's German. An Apfel, that's apple in German. After working up an appetite checking out all the interesting architecture that the village has to offer, I decided to go grab lunch at a traditional German restaurant before spending the rest of my afternoon checking out museums. So I'm at a restaurant called Kartoffelhaus, and I have ordered potato pancakes with applesauce and coffee. Kartoffelhaus turned out to be a blast from the past, reminding me of the flavors of my childhood. Then after lunch, my next destination was off on one of the historic trams of Brandenburg an der Havel to the Industry Museum. I just got off of the tram and I'm headed into the Industry Museum. According to some flyers that I read in German that I didn't fully understand, this town was one of the original places where bicycles were manufactured. It turned out that the Brandenburg-Weeks were really only a minor part of the exhibit. Instead, I found myself in this giant Soviet-era steel plant. With the audio tour, I learned how metals are recycled, smelted, poured into molds, and then sent to nearby bicycle and car manufacturers. So I'm here in Berlin. It's my last day of my trip, and it's just been a really great experience all around. I think that my favorite part about being here was just learning as much as I can about the culture, the language, the history. It's been truly incredible. If my family hadn't left Germany as immigrants, who knows what would have happened, and I definitely, wouldn't be the person that I am today. But still, I'm really in awe and inspired by everything that I've found here in Germany. What Germany means to me, of course, can never be the same thing as what it means to the German people. But I think about my great-grandparents who came from here and the legacy that they've passed down through our family, through traditions, and I feel so much gratitude for my family members who made the huge journey to seek a new land without all of the modern conveniences that I have the luxury of, like airplanes. That my ancestors who immigrated, they left on boats with an almost certainty that they would never get to come back, and that sense of adventure, that sense of courage to go out into the world, it really inspires me, and I don't know what their lives were like. I'm really glad that I got to come and kind of walk in their footsteps a little bit, as much as it's possible to, and I'm really grateful for the fact that I can travel the world today and still am able to go back to where I came from, because I can explore this heritage, explore that heritage, but when it comes down to it, I'm just a Heinz 57 American woman with very mixed heritage, very mixed ancestry. It's really cool to trace back some of my roots, but seeking that heritage it really leads me back to the place where I came from, the place where I call home.